Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a very special show for you today. And what it is going to be a look at Rex Purefoy. That's REXPUREFOY. He's legendary. It's not his fault. He's from North Carolina. But this is a look at not only he's legendary being a cowboy, and you can use the term black, I use that, or African American. But we have him on the line, and he's going to tell us about a walk down. He's been doing this for quite some time, and he's quite a person. So if you got anybody that you want to listen, what should they do, Scott?
You can go to Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com, or you can see us on the Ferguson USA pages on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, let's see here, YouTube, and other places that you look for your webcasts or your podcasts.
You know what, Mr. Scott Owen?
What, sir?
Rex is also a veteran Air Force guy.
Oh, that's where I came from.
Okay. Mr. Rex, we're very happy to feature you today. And it's a look at Rex Purefoy. Who is he? What does he do? And why is he so good at what he's doing? He's also trained horses. He's been in numerous shows. He is a professional black cowboy, but he also part-time, which I think is making a little money. He's a hell of a photographer. So, Rex, would you proceed and tell us about you, what you do, where you from, and we got the whole show to deal with. And if Scott or I don't want to ask questions, feel free to do so. Go ahead, Rex.
Well, I'm Rex Nathaniel Purefoy, born in Durham, North Carolina. After I got out of the Air Force, I was 18 years old when I was a military policeman in the Air Force for 4 years. And when I got discharged, I was always thinking about also when I was a little boy, I was a Cub Scout, had my uniform. Then I was a Boy Scout, so I already knew how to march when I got in the Air Force. So that was a blessing right there. But anyway, I always wanted to be a cowboy from a little boy because I saw the first black cowboy, Herb Jeffers, who was a former singer with Duke Ellington, but he was the first black singing Hollywood cowboy. And Herb Jeffers died about a few years ago. He lived to be 100, but I did get a chance to meet him at the Gene Orchard Museum, where they honored the last of the Hollywood cowboys singing cowboys, along with Gene Orchard and Rex and a lot of Caucasian cowboys. But anyway, that day when I saw a black cowboy, when I was sitting in the movie for the first time, after seeing all the white cowboys, that made me feel like I could be a cowboy when I saw Herb Jeffers, the singing cowboy. And then from then on, I went home and started practicing rope tricks, and I learned how to be a professional rope artist, whip artist, train horses and everything from that. So I toured all over the country with the Bill Pickett Rodeo, with the Universal Soul Circus, Daniel Boone Railroad in Durham, North Carolina, and on the Flip Wilson show and at several circuses and everything. So I was probably one of the only black cowboys during that time that got a chance to do anything at all in the public eye. By being on the Flip Wilson show in 1973, probably was the first time they ever seen a black man do any rope tricks at all. And it was very hard to come by because it took years and years to be able to learn all these tricks. And I had to practice every day for a long, long time to be able to be a performer like I was, to stand on the horse and do all types of rope tricks. I also had a collection of cowboy stuff that was equal to the Hollywood cowboys. I mean, I had the silver saddles, the two-gun with the pearl handles. I had the real official stuff, which I have today. I have a collection of over probably $1 million or $2 million worth of collectible cowboy stuff, which includes cowboy buckles and sterling silver buckles that some belts cost would be valued today at about $18,000. Just the belt. So that's the cowboy thing. I started in Durham, North Carolina with that cowboy thing about 68 or 69. And I started at Daniel Boone Railroad in Hillsborough, North Carolina. And they featured me over there as a cowboy doing rope tricks over the weekend. At that time, I was working for the IBM company as an independent contractor. I was making $50 per hour, plus making $50 for each 50 that I made. And I got that job by them having a black buyer who had sense enough to hire a black guy. He wasn't afraid of his job because there was a whole lot of money to pay a black guy during that time in North Carolina. But that's what they were paying the white photographers. However, very few black men got a chance to make that kind of money at the IBM company as an independent operator. But at that time, I wanted to be more in show business. So what happened, I resigned from that job to go to the first black rodeo, to go to New York City in 1972. So after then, I proceeded on to go to Hollywood, Flint, Wilson, and work on some more shows. And after then, I got with the Bill Pickett Rodeo and the Universal Circus, and I performed in Kansas City and other places around the country as an independent Rex Purefoy Wild as the West Hollywood Cowboy Show, where I did fancy gun twirling, I did fancy shooting, I did fancy rope tricks, standing on the horse, jumping through the loops, standing on the ground, and I did whip tricks, cutting the cigarette out of a person's mouth, cutting his tape off the top of my head, cutting it out of my mouth. I did all types of tricks, and Mr. Richardson actually witnessed one of my shows because he hired me to perform one time at a school. I did a lot of shows in Kansas City, Missouri, all over the city at schools and stuff like that. Now, also, as being a photographer, I started out in Durham, North Carolina. I was the head photographer for the Carolina Times newspaper. At the same time, I was shooting for North Carolina Central University, Durham Business College, and Southeastern Durham College in Durham, North Carolina. And I also had a studio on Main Street in Durham. So I did a lot of photography stuff in Durham before I decided to go into the cowboy thing. So right now, I'm still doing shows and doing a little photography work too. So, I mean, I wound up in Hollywood when they was honoring Herb Jeffers, the last of the singing cowboys, and where I met him. And for the first time that I met Herb Jeffers, I always did want to meet him, and we was very cordial. And we have I do have a television record on that because I have the show on a tape that they sent me from Hollywood with Herb Jeffers and I and the other Hollywood cowboys who was white that were still living. So I did a whole lot of talking. I knew I done missed a lot of stuff, but from what, more stuff that in the years that I've been performing. So what else can I tell you? Oh, also I'm a musician. I'm a musician that sings all kinds of songs, from old cowboy songs to country and western to gospel to the rock and roll. Sam Cooke and everybody. I know of over about 80 and 90 songs by heart. So, and I have appeared on Mr. Richardson's show singing two times. Okay, now what else can I tell you? I can't tell you everything in 50 years of performing, but those are some of the highlights of things. Some of the things that people have told. So let me mention this right here while it comes to me. Some of the things that people have told.
Mr. Profar, you have a lot to say, but we're listening to, or you listening to, a special show on Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. MC Richardson is the moderator, the host, and also the CEO and the founder of the United Minority Media Association. We've already repeated this several times. We were scheduled to have a Midwest Southeast Regional Conference. We changed it from the 17th of September to December 3rd over at the Broussard Washington Cultural Heritage Center. And we got all sorts of things planned that day. And we deal with the Midwest Southeast region, which covers 27 states. I met Mr. Purifar quite some time ago, and I'm quite sure that Mr. Pope and Mr. Owen have something to say. We're now, just want you to know, you can go to Ferguson, that's FERGUSON, USA Hot Talk Radio, and you can go on the web, and that could be on Facebook, YouTube, Apple TV, smartphone, iPhone, and about 5 or 6 podcasters that broadcast it throughout 5 different countries. And so anytime, we've got a show going on, so anytime that Mr. Folks or Mr. Scott on, he's also a former, I call bus driver, an Air Force guy. So anytime any of you can talk, it's okay.
Well, you know, I think I mentioned some years ago, I used to attend, company conferences, now 20 years. But when you first got started, into being a singing cowboy, but what was your biggest challenges getting started?
What was that again?
See, I think what you said. I think I met you with some time ago with MC. But I said when you first got started, what was some of your hardest challenges when you first started being a singing cowboy? What was your biggest hurdle, I should say?
Well, seem like you're breaking up. I can't understand you. I need to repeat.
I said, what was your biggest hurdle when you first started being a singing cowboy?
I can't understand exactly what you're saying.
Okay, he said, what was your biggest feat when you first started singing as a cowboy?
What
was the thing that you thought was really sensational about being
because that what I didn't see. By being from North Carolina, I'd never seen any black cowboys. So when I saw a black cowboy on the screen, I said to myself, now I can be a cowboy. I'm going to go out there and start being a cowboy to let all people know that there's black cowboys. But see, they didn't teach us nothing about in Oklahoma and Texas. There's always been black cowboys. But there's always been rodeos and things out in Oklahoma and Texas. But we never did read or hear anything about it. So when I saw that first Black Cowboy movie, that was a thing that really excited me. I wanted to continue. I was going to go out and take Herb Jeffrey's place out in Hollywood to be the next Black Cowboy. So that's what got me interested in it. I wanted to show all people that there was more that was Black Cowboys.
Well, they also won the first Kentucky Derby too. But when I used to see, I think Bob Ford was the director. He put John Wayne. They had Louis Jordan in like a comedian type role cowboy.
Yeah, that was Lookout Sister. That was the movie. I know all the Black Cowboy movies that they made back there. The first Black Cowboy they made was, I don't know anything about it because I wasn't around then. Bill Pickett was the first really black movie star. Bill Pickett was the, and then along came Herb Jeffers as the black Hollywood singing cowboy, like Gene Archer and Roy Rogers. See? And then Louis Jordan, about 1945 or 46, he did a movie out in Arizona because he had to go out there for his health. And Arizona was a good place for a person to be healthy for some reason. But anyway, he made a movie out there called Look Out Sister. And that's where I saw the first black cowboy. Name was Bob Scott. He's in there doing trick riding. And I did meet him at the Bill Pickett Rodeo in California years later. Okay.
Okay, and can y'all hear Our and Scott? I guess talk slowly, or maybe my comprehension of singing. Well, I can't even sing. But talking that Mr. Purfoy can understand. So we'll allow you people up there in Ferguson and St. Louis to try to or attempt to get your words in, so Mr. Purfoy, who helped us from Durham, North Carolina, can understand you. So go ahead and ask your question, please.
And also you can go on the web to Rex Purfoy, and you can bring up a lot of stuff on me to tell you about a lot of places that I have been, and you can actually see shows where I performed in Denver, Colorado, and other places over the country. And also the movie, you can buy that movie called Black Rodeo off of the internet.
Gentlemen, you have something you want to ask Mr. Purfoy?
Well,
all y'all talking once.
I'll try again. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Rick, can you hear
that, Mr.? Can you hear that?
No, I can't hear. He's coming in mighty low. I can understand you, MC, but he's coming in mighty low. You got to repeat what he said.
I'm going to be your interpreter, you people in St. Louis. What is your question?
Well, my question was, when you first got started, MC, what was the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome?
Okay, what he's saying, when you first got started, what was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome?
No, the biggest hurdle. The biggest
hurdle you had to overcome.
As a guy, I was natural talent to be in show business. So it wasn't too many things I had to overcome. But however, by being black, still a lot of white people didn't want to hire you. I used to advertise myself as just Rex Purfoy, the Hollywood cowboy. But when I put Rex Purfoy, the black cowboy, offers stopped coming in from the white people. I should have never put that up there if I wanted to continue to work to be a cowboy. I should have just left it as Rex Purfoy, Hollywood cowboy, because they would hire me. I did lots of shows for white people as a cowboy. But when I put that black cowboy up, that ended that.
Not good.
Well, you've been requested. A lot of people don't know that much about Black history. One guy used to be on the show I used to do, and he said all history is American history. So we won't really set aside just September, but we do things all throughout the year. So we are part of the history, and they changed the history. When Bob Ford was the legendary director, producer, whatever, he was putting people on that. Johnny Mac Brown, he put on Gene Autry, he put on Roy Rogers, he put on John Wayne, and all of them, so he could sell the movie. All right. Then we came out a thing with not only for black cowboys, Mr. Purfoy. When did the first black start doing movies? And like Harlem was famous for a recruitment area for black.
When did they start doing movies?
Well, black people to get in movies. They used to have people used to go up to Harlem. That was a place for people who wanted to go to get in show business. What year was that? Do you remember?
No, I can't remember.
Okay, well, just tell them what you know, because we got a lot of questions for you, sir. And this is a look at Rex Profile. He's in Kansas City, and he's a guy that he trains horses. He gets different type of automobiles, and he is I used to tell him when he used to sing on the show, don't quit your day job. And a lot of people didn't know I was just kidding.
Yeah, but and then he would call me back to be back on his show again.
So let's see how well you do, Mr. Scott Owen, and do I have to interpret you to it? I don't have no problem of working with you guys in the smallest city in Missouri, okay?
Well, thanks a lot, sir.
And let them know that a fancy roping cowboy is altogether different. Every cowboy cannot do that fancy roping. It's an art. It takes years and years. Now, fancy roping is the roping that a guy does twirling and jumping through the loop and jumping in and out of the loop and all that fancy stuff. It takes years and years. Very few cowboys can do that. Very, very few. Of all the cowboys in the world today, only a handful can do that fancy stuff because it takes years and years. They would like to learn it, but it takes too long to learn. And the fancy roping stuff. And my horses that I train myself, I still have two. I train my own horses. And by being a guy from North Carolina, I didn't know anything about training horses. I bought a book one day called Dr. Berry's Horsemanship. And it taught me how to train horses. And I just was a natural at that. I could train horses better than the cowboys out in the West because I have spoken with them and they wondered how I got my horses to perform so well.
So, did your horses star in movies as well?
No, the only thing my horses have been in, Solange Noel. I did a video with her 2 years ago. The horses are in there.
Okay, great.
I think the video that she made is called Coming Home. Solange Knows. Coming Home. She had me to come out to to Texas, where she lived in Houston, and we shot the video out there. So that was about 2-3 years ago. But the horses are well trained and whatever now. But you know, since the COVID has been out there, I haven't been doing a whole lot. Some ladies calling me from Durham, North Carolina, want me to come there and do a show without the horses. I do stuff on stage or inside the ballroom without the horses, the fancy roping and the whip tricks. So all that stuff is spectacular. Plus, I have all the custom-made cowboy outfits. I got about over 100 Western specialty shirts from $3,500 made by my tailor from Hollywood Tailor Nudies that made for all the Hollywood cowboy stars. Over 100 shirts, all kinds of Western Hollywood cowboy suits that were made by Nudies up in Hollywood. All that stuff is collector's items now. If you had to buy one of those suits now, Manuel in Nashville, who makes for the country Western, he would probably charge it $8,000 to $10,000 just to make one of those suits now. But anyway, like I said, I do have a collection of, and I would like to know, about me being a black man over the country, has anybody else got a collection like I have, of silver saddles, sterling silver buckles and stuff? A lot of people don't know it. Some sterling silver buckles by themselves cost $80,000 and $90,000 and $100,000. That silver saddle cost from $50,000 to $100,000 to $300,000. Roy Rogers at his auction, his silver saddle not the one he used on Trigger, but the one he used on special occasion. It sold for $250,000. A lot of our people don't know the value. They'll go around wearing this metal stuff, a great big bucket that looks huge, but it's metal. It's not stirred in silver at all. If it was stirred in silver, that bucket would cost from $10,000 to $20,000. Now, all the stuff that I have is stirred in silver. I never did elect to, and I'm still collecting. I still collect stuff right today. I go on the internet, and I look for special things by Nudie and special things by Nate Church, who made the stuff in the 40s and the 50s. It's still expensive, but I bid on it. A lot of times I win. So I do have I could start a museum where people could come in and look and see the most prettiest stuff in Hollywood. I mean the old Hollywood, because the new Hollywood don't have the stuff that they had back in the day when they were making those B-Western movies. The new Hollywood, I done seen a lot of stuff. They get away with a lot of cheap stuff, because when Clint Eastwood made Bronco Billy, he had on a 10-cent shirt because he didn't know that people like me would be watching that stuff in 10-cent buckles and shit. But anyway, back to you.
Well, you know, I wanted to start when we said the old Intruder's song, Cowboys and Girls, and that was real popular back then. I had a cousin, she's deceased now, named Rosie Salas. She was a champion, barrel champion. What do you call it?
Barrel racer.
Okay. And she was from Muskogee, Oklahoma. Have a lot of relatives down in Muskogee, in Boley, Oklahoma, Taft, Oklahoma, that they used to put on the black rodeos. And I think some are going on as we speak. They're still doing that. And a lot of people don't know that that's when the people wore the women look good in them jeans now. And they set up on the deal, and they have the rodeo. We talk about Bill Pickett. They used to do that here in Kansas City. And also, the guy who's supposed to be related to me was the first black deputy sheriff or marshal or whatever. He worked with the hanging judge down in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Pledge, is it Pledge Bass, the Bass Pledge or something like that. But he's supposed to be a distant relative of the Richardson. So it goes way back. Everybody used to perform on Sundays on the rodeos, and people really had a good time. But the people, they missed not only the black rodeos, which was really by Anthony Arnold and Pat Jackson, but then they had the other one, Universal Soul Circus. They don't do those in Kansas City no more. I think they do it in Hollywood and other places. How familiar are you with them? You said you performed in the Universal Soul Circus.
I was with the first Universal Soul Circus in Atlanta, Georgia when they started. I was one of the first acts with my horse in the Universal Circus when it started in Atlanta, Georgia. Then I performed with them up in Detroit, Michigan. And then I performed with them in Denver, Colorado. I think I was the Bill Pitt Rodeo and the Universal Circus that same day.
Why did we need a Universal Soul Circus, even though they said most of them originated over in Africa? They had some talented men and women, and they could train, and they knew how to deal with, I don't know how they say it on an elephant that long. So they had camels. Then they had the people, they had the lion tamers, they had the tiger trainers, and they had a lot of people involved that kind of give us a little background on the Universal Soul Circus. And I used to carry kids, my relatives, when they had it here in Kansas City. Then they moved it out to a place in Kansas City out there about Swope Park. But they don't do that anymore. I don't know. They didn't get enough people. I don't know what the situation is.
You had to check with Mr. Brooks on that. He know because he was the last one when Universal was here the last time. He was the one who was instrumental in helping them locate a place to have the circus. So I don't know why. You know, what happened. Something transpired because they don't come here anymore, but I can't answer that question for you.
When you say Mr. Brooks, you talking about Alvin Brooks?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. He was the last one that helped find a place and kind of work with them. So he could answer that question for you.
Well, he was a mayor pro tem at one time, too. But on the same token, Mr. R. Folks and Mr. Scott Owen, do they have any of those in St. Louis? St. Louis seems to draw a lot of good talent, and it's loaded with talent in St. Louis. Do you guys still have a Universal Soul Circus or a Black Rodeo there?
Not aware of it.
Not, they used to have them, but not anymore. No place to have them nowadays.
Well, I just read about up in St. Louis. I usually keep up with all the rodeos over the country. Rodeos, black rodeos is coming well now because Bill Pickett has got a big sponsor where they have an exhibit traveling around, sponsored by Toyota and some people. So rodeos is showing up all over the country now. And I thought not too long ago I read where they had something in St. Louis. Some of the cities I've been to and talked to people, they don't even know about the black rodeos in there. When I perform with the black rodeo, I go to a city and some of the people didn't even know nothing about a black rodeo is coming there or anything. So the publicity has always been kind of slack on that. But see, I was sponsored by the Coors Beer Company, so I always got paid. I had a contract with Coors, the beer company paid me direct. Hello?
St. Louis, you behind time. Is everything that's happening in your city, you guys not talking something. I thought y'all knew everything about that little town up there.
No, I don't follow the rodeos and stuff myself, to be honest with you.
I know, I don't follow them. I follow kind of everything. I'm a man that keeps up with current events all over the country. I can tell you a little about everything. I don't really keep up with rodeos. I got a knowledge that I keep up with some of everything that goes on in the country. When I was a military policeman, that's how we got promoted. And this was way back in 1954. When you go before the board, you had to have current events. If you couldn't answer them questions about things that you didn't know, you didn't get a promotion. So you had to be able to keep up with some of everything that's going on over the country. I was up in Wichita, and Herb Jeffers, the first black singing cowboy, came there to live. That was the coldest place I ever been in my life. I had on my long underwear, and I still was freezing. I asked a couple of outstanding people there, ministers and everything. I said, Herb Jeffers, the famous black singing cowboy, is up here living now. They didn't even know nothing about it. I thought that was pitiful. They didn't know anything about it. The man said he was glad that I told him that. And Herb Jeffers was there living, but he didn't stay there that long. But while I was there, I did get a chance to talk with the people who were sponsoring him because I had met him in California years ago. He was going to put me on a package with him. He made some records down in Nashville if they would go well. I have the letter right here in my memorabilia where he sent me a letter from Hollywood that he was going to put me on a package with him since I was a boy to seeing him in the movie when I was a little boy, and he encouraged me to be a cowboy, that he was going to put me on a package with him to do tricks with my ropes. But the songs didn't go well, so it never did happen. But, okay, then, back to what you want to ask me.
While they get it together, it's a lot of people. This is a history. I look at Rex Purifoy, and then this is what you can probably go on and at the website and repeat that, Scott, or
Put Rex Purifoy in there.
Well, our website is FergusonUSA HotTalkRadio.com.
And this is something you can pick up, and probably I know Mr. R. folks could possibly, I don't know how you do that. Do you email that to people, or how could he get a copy of this show today?
Well, he can go to FergusonUSA.HotTalkRadio.com and go to the podcast library under the Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City, or he can go to the Facebook page and download the link. So.
He's a very historic guy, and he wore all them expensive clothes, and he just made the be. Well, he's from the South, so we can understand that, right? Our your people came from the South too.
Yeah, but
my mother was born in Louisville, Mississippi.
Huh? So what's thinking everything?
Can you hear him, Mr.
No, I can't hear him. I can't hear him.
Okay, well, just repeat to me, and I'll be your interpreter, and I'll send my invoice to you, Mr. Folks. So, what do you want to ask Mr. Purifier?
I don't have any questions to see myself. I'm good.
Okay. Well, there's another lady used to be in Kansas City. She has a ranch down in Houston, Texas. Tell us about her, Mr. Purifier.
Yeah, that's Molly's ranch, but I haven't been able to. I called her that other day. I talked with her husband. Her husband said she was okay, but it's something is wrong somewhere. You know, I'm a guy that's got real good common sense by being a street guy all my life. I'm the kind of guy that can go to New York City the first day and get off and become a New Yorker. That's the kind of guy I am. But I can kind of tell she never did call me back, because she usually called me back 3 or 4 times every week to talk about what's going on in Houston with the black people, with the rodeo that's coming, for the big white rodeo. She tried to get me in there and all that kind of stuff. But I haven't heard from Miss Molly. And I told her husband.
Okay. Well, tell us about some things you know about what Molly was doing. She was a model here in Kansas City, and she's originally from Houston, those small town around there. Nothing small.
Well, she owned the largest black ranch in Houston, Texas, and the ranch has been in her family for 150 years. And she offered all types of historical things about black cowboys. She got things on display, pictures, memorabilia of old Western styles and costumes. A very huge place in Houston, Texas.
We listened to a very special broadcast. It's a look at Mr. Rex Purifier, black cowboy singer, and you name it, photographer. And this is a great opportunity for our people. We're not that really, a lot of our youth, some middle-aged, old people, don't understand all the significant things that black folks, Negroes, colored, or whatever, now African-American, have done in this great nation we call. But on the same token, we don't take advantage of the opportunity. It's like other schools. You've got the Jewish schools, you got that. They go way back in their history. They go back and they inform their youth. There's something our people know about Malcolm X, they know about Martin Luther King, and they know about hip-hop. A lot of this history they don't know about, and they don't get interested, because we used to have, black folks used to have storytellers, and sometimes they wait till late at night and they would tell those stories about their ancestors and things like that, or we pass it down. Even a lot of them don't know our names. When I say they don't know our name, when a person of color, well, a lot of people of color, but they get married, they move their last name to their maiden name. But when European, Caucasians, or whatever, they move their last name to the middle name, and we want to get to the Chicano, or we want to get to the Mexican, no, we want to get the Latino. They have about 5 or 6 middle names. They don't miss no names in their family. So it's easy when they do their genealogy, it's easy to trace them out, and sometimes ours is difficult. And then you have the people of color, which is coming to light now, but you have if a Russian marries a person from England, or they marry a person from Scotland, they still consider them as European or Caucasian. But we change ours, and there's a lot of people. You got blacks all over the world, in every country. And it's just like people used to have a good friend named Amy Hughes that used to do all that black history. Hockey players. Now, we have started so much stuff, but our people are not cognizant of it because it's not in the books. The people sell the book to teach the kid, and there's a lot of controversy about that. So we can expound on that, but this is a great show, and it's about, we got probably about 12 minutes left, so let's take advantage of the people. We just like Scott gonna have to repeat, so our people can educate themselves as well as their kids and their relatives. So let's proceed. Does anybody have anything they want me to interpret? I guess
like, I'm just listening to learn myself, MC. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, but right. I'm trying to assist to help this person I've been knowing for the longest, and sometimes they don't know what he is. He's a very handsome dude. Godly. I know he loves to hear that from MC and KC. But anyway.
Well, Buck O'Neill, that's what Buck O'Neill used to tell me all the time. Come on, handsome, keep up with me.
Now, they might not recall. They're doing a lot of things for Buck O'Neill here in Kansas City. They got a center that used to be the old YMCA we used to go to when I was in grade school, high school. And they also got a bridge named after Buck O'Neill. You talking somebody was, oh, man. Oh, he could talk, boy. Smooth. Oh, man, as a matter of fact, with Bob Kendrick, who's the right person to head up the Negro League Baseball Museum, he's working on $1 million project of getting $1 million. A person can donate $1 or whatever and help to restore the old YMCA. And then I know Ollie Gates is one of the developers one time, and probably still is. But we got a lot going on here, like our district. I guess our major district is 3rd district and the 5th district. Like I would like to see them. I know Miss Angela Houston put a bust of Charlie Parker, and got a little controversy going there. I would like to see him. His body, which is buried here in Kansas City, he's born in KCK, to move down on 18th Street and put it in a wrought iron fence with 6 horses, and also a marble plaque of all the things he's responsible for. And I go into Kansas City and things like that. When I was in Seattle back in 1962, Hank Ballard was saying Annie had a baby, Annie can't work anymore. And he had a version of going to Kansas City. In Kansas City, they used to talk about 12th and Vine. The new version, they got 18th and Vine, or stepping back in time. So this is a great study. This is a show-me state, and what we need to do is get this message, and if more people will get involved with the no nonsense shows on Ferguson USA, Hot Talk Radio. We're trying to get listeners, we're trying to get sponsors, and we have some of the top people going. A lot of other people, they help the hip-hop and stuff like that. And when the Europeans started doing hip-hop, they became very popular. And like part of Rebroadcast, they were the 3rd oldest radio station. The first one started in Atlanta, and then KPRS became the oldest radio, or the first radio station west of the Mississippi. Now they're the oldest one in the country. So we got so much talent here. We got people used to hang out at the Sparkville Hotel. The entertainers used to come there because they couldn't go to the other hotel. And we had, when you talk about Sarah Vine, you talk about Billie Holiday, you talk about Dinah Washington, you talk about the men, musicians. This is a great place. to have them. He was very blessed and fortunate to team up with Ferguson and St. Louis, get that word out. But we need to have more of your people that on your Facebook, your listeners, to be sure to tune in. Now, Mr. Folk, I know he has a couple, 2 or 3 shows, and they're playback, and he got a great show where it's so great that he has to postpone the one that's coming up this coming Saturday because they have a bishop for the Church of God in Christ that they're going to get him, I guess, inauguration. I don't know if that's the correct word or not. But all that's happening.
Bishop Wooten is being installed as the head of the second person in charge of the Church of God in Christ.
Okay. Did y'all hear? Did you hear that, Rex?
No, I didn't. What?
Well, when he gets, go ahead. When he gets you this information, so for your own personal memoirs or whatever, then you'll have that information. So we want, and then of course you're gonna be included in there. I think they used to have a black cowboy. I think he's deceased now from Kansas. And he used to perform. Do you remember his name?
A black cowboy in Kansas.
They're from KCK.
No, I don't. I know everything around here in Kansas City. Anybody ever been any kind of real cowboy or did anything, you know that. I know everybody all over the country who's supposed to be prominent in cowboy things.
Well, this guy was from Kansas City, Kansas, and used to have other people. He used to have 2 or 3 black rodeos here, okay?
No, if he had rodeos, I had to be participating in them because I was always the star attraction of all these black rodeos. I know all these people. I don't know any man in Kansas City, Kansas.
I can't think of his name. Like, I didn't know anything about Charlie Pride till the Europeans told me about Charlie Pride, okay? And then I used to do a show at a different station. It's now changed name about 4 or 5 times, and they used to feature a lot of what's the sister group they had here? Not the what? The one that it was sisters, and they used to sing country western and everything else. They teamed up with country western singers and country western stations. I can't call the name right now.
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. Well, you should listen to Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City more, sir. But on the same token, we got maybe approximately about 7 or 8 minutes. So we should take advantage of that. And really, what I can do is, we do have we changed the Midwest Southeast Regional Conference December the 3rd here in Kansas City. And it's going to start. It's from 10 to 8:30 that evening. We got 4, what they call it, state-of-the-art workshops. We also got a banquet. We got top stars and different people. We're targeting Arkansas for one. And then, what happened in Arkansas happened in every state in the union. We got a person I just talked to today that's going to reconsider that he wasn't available on the 17th, but since it's December 3rd, he told me that, and Rex, that I did not know that the Buffalo Soldiers really originated in Arizona. I didn't know that. Okay. But we got so much information that we seem to hide it or go on a special deal with hiding our books and tell our people later on. But I don't know what happened. We used to have a bunch of storytellers around here. They would go out and tell the stories and keep our people up to date. And then this, what should go in the book, who should publish what, and there's been a lot of controversy. I don't think it's been a lot of controversy about Black history. They just didn't publish it. And that's a big problem now. People want to know about the genealogy of their ancestry. And we know about blacks and all of these. They have a thing that blacks all over the world. They had black people there, even over in London and different places like that. And even Africa, now they talk about the United Kingdom over Europe, but most of them have raw Africa of the natural resources, so they have a right technology, and they go and control, and they take their language there and everything. Like Haiti, they speak French. Cameroon, I think, they speak French. And they got different people. Like I met a lady today, and she said she was from Brazil. I said, "What language do you speak?" That language, they spoke Portuguese. Now, I also told people about one of the workshops we're going to have is called the 1619 Project. And that's supposed to be the origination where the Dutch, they say, brought over 20 Africans and put them in, down in the 13 colonies. And then I heard that the Portuguese, they even had black people, the warriors, they sold the people, other Africans who were like didn't go to war, they sold them into slavery, or they just ripped them off. And people don't care. Like everything has a price tag. If you got the money, you can get the thing. Like they said the diamonds are in South Africa. They said a lot of the minerals and things like that are all whatever all over the world. And can you tell us, Rex, how oil originated?
Can I tell you how oil originated?
Yeah, how did it come to be?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, my thinking, and probably Ireland can tell us, that it was from when they had the thing, the dinosaurs died off with each other, and that became the basis for oil. Now they're trying to, because of the climate change thing like that, they're trying to get more automobiles converted to electrical vehicles. That's what they're working on. Our present president, that's what he's working on. Because that oil and stuff like that, a lot of people got rich.
MC, oil is all over the world, so I'm like Rick, I'm not quite sure the question where it originated from, because oil's been around for years and years. Back in the Middle East, we have oil in this country. Oil is all over the world. Just have to dig down to get it.
Yeah, I know, but I want to know, how did oil come about?
Then God created.
From what?
It's a mineral that's been here since the beginning of time.
Well, no. What I'm saying, I heard over the years that when the dinosaurs vanished from here, that's where it came from. Dinosaurs and things like that.
That's an urban legend, sir. It's an urban legend. It's not from dinosaurs. It's basically the lubrication the Earth has.
Yeah.
And I think it was, I forget who it was made up by, but it's not from dinosaurs.
No.
You're saying it's not from dinosaurs?
It is not from dinosaurs, Mr. MC. But,
okay, what do you think I heard it came from?
It's basically a lubricant that the Earth uses to put it between the tectonic plates.
It's a mineral, like diamonds and stuff like that. It's something that's a part of the Earth, and God created.
By the way, Mr. MC, we have 3 minutes left. It's 5:57.
Okay, well, Mr. Rex, tell the people how you can be contacted and what's the best way to reach you and the things that you can offer if they want to set up some type of project or fundraiser, whatever, with Mr. Rex Purifoy. That's spelled R-E-X, and Nathaniel's the middle name, and Purifoy is the last name. That's P-U-R-E-F-O-Y. And kind of close us out before we close the show out, Mr. Purifoy. We really appreciate a look at Rex Purefoy?
Well, you can just contact me, Rex Purefoy. But I still would do some things, but I'm not interested in doing a whole lot of things anymore. I've done all these things for the last 50 years, and I still have all the things that I said I have. And on a special occasion, I might go out and do some things. I'm not too interested in anything or doing anymore. I'm just coasting with my life now. And matter of fact, right now, I'm getting ready to go to Sean Hughes' retirement party at the Crown Center. So while I was dressing, while I was talking to you, I had the headphones over my ears. I'm kind of guy that I paid my dues, and I did a lot of things which I was proud of, and I was so happy that I did them. But now all I'm doing is just coasting. I don't have to worry about anything in life. I don't have to worry about any work or anything because I'm well fixed to do anything that I want to do. And I'm the kind of guy like this. I'm kind of like a loner. When I walk out the door, somebody asks me, where am I going? I don't know where I'm going. When I get out there, I make up my mind where I'm going. I don't know. So that's the kind of thing that I will help someone if they're interested, but for doing a whole lot of things anymore, I'm not really interested in it. But still, by nature, I'm the kind of guy will do some things to help somebody out. And all these things, I'm the kind of guy, as my producer used to tell me about certain people on the shows, they would get the big head. I'm the kind of guy that never got the big head, that I was important or anything like that, that I was the big man on this show. I've seen several people come on the show that got what they call, they got the big head. They thought they was bigger than they were, and they're not on the show anymore. It's
Well,
for that.
I know we're about to run out. I know we're about to run out of time. So if somebody want to get in touch with you, they can call me at 816-822-8866. And also, I know how to get in touch with Mr. Purefoy. And the other thing, what I want him to become, he's been a member, and I want him to be a special assistant, not that time-consuming, to the chairman, the founder, and the CEO of the United Minority Media Association, which is myself. He can lend so much to us, and we can get the word out to our media network. And I want to thank everybody for listening. And Corey and Scott, take us out.
Thank you so much.